So we have taken over what is potentially going to be our final club in this Building a Nation save in Sweden. We have done 15 seasons so far. This is season 16 and this is IFK Norrköping. Over the course of this save, they have had a very up and down time, and they were one of the few teams that I had on my list of teams that I would like to manage because I think they're good enough to kind of propel us into the Champions League, potentially winning a European trophy, but also they won the Allsvenska in the second season of this save, and they have recently been relegated, got themselves promoted, and then finished 12th place last season. We have a hell of a job on our hands to turn Norrköping back into a title challenging side, and I think we should be able to do it within about 3 or 4 seasons. Now, I'm not going to go through every single player in our squad, but when you look at ability, and I've sorted this by star rating ability, we've got 4 players who are 4-star ability. Vedad Gustafsson is one of the best, and I do agree he is probably one of the best in that attack midfield role. I think he's probably got that job nailed. We've got Sam Fisher, defence midfielder. Not too convinced he's good enough in that position. Daniel Johnson is one of our own. He came through the youth intake in 2030 by the looks of it, and he is at 23 years of age. Looks like a very decent right back. Can't header, but do you need a right back to actually do that anyway? And Peter Schmidt, I think, is a pretty decent defensive midfielder. So we've got some players who can do the job for us. The problem is we've also got some players who are, let's say, getting on a little bit. We've got this 32-year-old who's actually leaving anyway. We've got a few 30-year-olds who, they're good, but maybe we need to start trying to replace some of these. Goalkeeper, I think Mies van der Meer is our number 1 goalkeeper, and he's actually pretty good as well. From a squad perspective, I think we're in a good place. I just want to point out as well, Vratislav Zazul, a player that we had at Helsingborg, we then sold him to possibly Orient, maybe even Varnamo. He played for Norrköping and has recently left. He's not terrible, is he? So we're on the 26th of January, and we have £1 million to spend in our first season. We are competitions-wise literally not in anything other than the Swedish Cup. In fact, we're not even in the Swedish Cup because we've been knocked out of that and we weren't in charge, so that's not our fault. We are only in the Swedish Premier Division. So we've got one competition to focus on all season. This could mean that we might actually be maybe top 5 in the first season, which it's unlikely, let's be honest. Season preview right now, we're expected to finish 11th. I'm thinking I'm 7th and above. That's my target. Right, let's jump forward then to the other side of the transfer window. Let's see what business we have done, and we'll have a kind of a bit more of a breakdown of the actual squad that we've got. I'm not going to keep things a secret because you're not going to know who any of these players are, but it's been a busy one. We have sold £1.3 million worth of players, and in fact, it was one player, and it was Vedad Gustafsson. I didn't really want to do this when Mjällby came in, though, obviously the team that we have literally just left. I went, he's staying in Sweden. This is probably for the best, plus it helps to give us a bit more money. And then everyone else is a loan. Lots and lots of loan deals, in fact. We've also got rid of Emil Henriksson. He's gone to Östers for £54,000. And Oscar Sederlund has also left the Vasslands. The other 2 left before we actually joined. Joining the club, first of all, we'll address the elephant in the room. Antonio Mba has joined me for a 3rd time. He's still awful, and he's going to retire playing for me, okay? And I feel like I'm going to give him 1 game. I'm going to play him once, and he's going to be absolutely garbage. So the other players then, Xu Cheng Liang is a Chinese Taipei left back and left winger. I brought him in to be a left back because we needed a bit more strength in that position. He's coming on a free transfer, probably not going to play much. Teko is a new, possibly, number 1 goalkeeper for the future. Signed on a free transfer, formerly of Fluminense, going out on loan to Obreo for the season. Evani Babel is a Surinamese right back, signed on a free transfer from Robin Hood in, I believe, Suriname, if I'm not mistaken. I hate it when it does that. Right, get rid of that. Yeah, from Suriname. He got released on a free. We've picked him up. He looks alright. He's 23. He's one for the future. Probably not going to play much, but he gives us a bit of depth in that right back position. Dromain Koulibaly is a 22-year-old Malian centre-back, signed from Jaliba on a free transfer. He's also got 22 caps to his name. Victor Chu is a player that we may recognise before, formerly of Helsingborg. I don't think I signed Victor Chu. I might have done, actually. But yes, we have brought him in on a free transfer, Danish centre-back. I definitely didn't bring him in, did I? We were definitely not at the club. Our most expensive signing is Mehar Mohammed, who is a Jordanian right-back and left-back, signed from Sirius for £220,000. Brought him in because he's good. Okay, you can see the order that these players came in. I bought in a new left-back and a new right-back early, and then went, oh, now we've got some money to spend, because I think by that point we might have got this money in. So maybe not just yet. But I think the deal was kind of going through, so it's like, you know what, let's try and bring in some other players. We've gone to Lecca 3 times, which we'll come to in just a moment. Kolo Diakite has signed. He is a Malian centre-back, signed from Stade Malien. He's good. I do like Diakite. He has cost, obviously, a small amount of money, possibly £60,000, which is perfectly fine. Axel Freud, might be his name, is also a goalkeeper. He's Swedish. He's a backup. Brought him in because he's Swedish. We needed a backup goalkeeper. And then we've got the 3 players from Lecca who are pretty ridiculous. In order of quality, I think we'll go for Martin Moises, 22-year-old Portuguese centre-back, signed from Lecca, free transfer. He has gone out on loan to Sirius for the season. He's not amazing, okay? 22, obviously one for the future, but mentally got some decent numbers there. He's not awful, could do a job for us. Going out on loan to the 2nd division in Sweden, he should hopefully get some game time and get better. The second best of the 3 is Ricardo Casaliero, 24 years of age, can play anywhere across those attacking midfield 3 positions, and he's good, right? He's very physical. He's arguably that's kind of his main attribute. He's very fast, not very fast, but he's got nice agility, that's a word, nice balance, things like that. Mentally, not amazing, but 19 determination is always pretty good. Technically got some numbers in the right places to be a winger, so crossing, dribbling, first touch, passing and technique, everything else, pretty awful, but he's free. You can't go wrong with a free transfer like this. And I'm not quite sure how this man didn't play professional football. I don't believe Lecca are a professional side, but it is George, isn't it, because he's Portuguese. George Nunes has signed on a free transfer, 67 goals and 153 appearances for Lecce, and we have brought him in on a free. 15 dribbling, 15 first touch, 15 finishing, 12 technique, mental numbers reasonable, physical numbers very, very good. I don't understand how no one seems to be buying players from this team. So we had a look. I think this one as well, I looked at him and he wasn't very good. But everyone else in their squad we picked up because they were definitely worth bringing to the club. So that has been our transfer window. It's been a busy one, but it does mean, from a squad perspective, actually, we will go to our tactics and we'll do by best 11. Obviously, this is not necessarily what they're going to play, but this is in theory what the best 11 is. Our number 1 right back is not there for some reason. Oh, he is there. We are missing a centre-back. It's Moises. Moises is technically one of our best centre-backs, but he's currently out on loan. Fair enough. Schmidt and Vogel in midfield. We've got Fredriksson, Carlson, Nilsson. So, Casaliero isn't good enough to be any one of those front 3 options. So, Fredriksson, I think Casaliero is better. Carlson, yep, he's pretty good. Nilsson, he's also pretty good. And then Nunes up front. So, I think we've got a good side. I genuinely think we've got a good side. If you have a look at the season preview, now we are dropped down from 11th to 12th. Not quite sure how they've managed to kind of work that one out, but fair enough. And we've also come out the other side of this with £1.2 million still in our transfer budget and about £8,000 a week still to spend in our wage budget. I just want to have a quick look and talk to you about facilities. I will obviously be trying to improve the facilities constantly now. Every single season I will talk to the board and say, can you improve training, youth facilities, everything like that. Obviously season 1 with Norrköping, they're going to just tell me to swivel and go straight out the door, but we're going to try from next season, we're going to try and improve everything. They're not bad, but they're not amazing, are they? So good training, good youth, good academy, good youth recruitment. We can certainly do better than that, and in theory, if we do well over a few seasons, get a bit of money in the bank, we should have the money to do so. Oh, well, speaking of money, we did one of these little pre-season friendly competitions against Anderlecht, Antwerp and Standard. So we had a little Belgian trio there, and we beat all of them and won the league. We won, let's have a quick look, 5-2 against Antwerp, 4-1 against Standard, and a 4-0 against Anderlecht. So that was a thing. That earned us a bit of money. We've won absolutely every single pre-season game, which doesn't really mean too much. But what I do want to mention before we go into the actual season, I'm fully aware lots of talking has been taking place at the start of this season. 7 teams might qualify for Europe. It's quite difficult to know because obviously it doesn't really show you, but we've got 7 teams there coloured in. If we jump to qualification places, this season, the league winners go in the Champions League, second place go into the Champions League, third place go into the Europa League, fourth place go into the Europa League, fifth place go into the Europa Conference League, and then also the winner of the Cup will go into one as well. I will double check because I feel like I need to do this because I completely missed the fact that Helsingborg actually won the Europa Conference League. I want to double check, has anyone else won a European competition? So it does not look like it unless someone's somehow pulled off something magical in the Champions League. No. Anyway, that's going to do it for the start of this. Let's jump forward then to about the midway point of the season. and see how well things are going in our debut season in charge of Norrköping. Well, 12 games in, and we are currently 5th place in the league. Helsingborg top the table on 26 points. We are just 5 points behind them. 7 wins, 5 defeats. Not a single draw to our name. The only other team in the league who has not drawn are Västerås, who are currently sat bottom of it. And if you cast your eyes towards the bottom of the table, 14th place is Mjällby. I just want to have a quick check. So who took over? It is Jonas Knudsen, who formerly of those. I'm not going to try and say it. Obviously AOK and Varberg as well. Not a terrible manager, but the fact that they are down that end of the table, has he done any transfer business? He has. Obviously, we signed Gustafsson. I believe one of these, maybe this one, I might have arranged. I'm not quite sure. Jara, Rubio. We've got Peterson coming in from Malmo. He doesn't look awful, does he? He looks good. He looks like a very good footballer. And Koulibaly as well also looks like a very good footballer. He's the second top scorer, I believe, in the league. Yes, he is. And they're all the way down in 14th. So basically, they can't defend. The top scorer in the league is George Nunez. He has scored 13 goals in 12 starts and got 1 assist. I think he was definitely worth the money. And the money, by the way, might I remind you, was nothing. Anyway, it is the start of a transfer window. A few transfers have happened already. 2 players, in fact, leaving the club. This one I had nothing to do with. Noah Sasa, a Danish 32-year-old winger, central midfielder, maybe attacking midfielder. He's moved over to Central Coast Mariners. I had nothing to do with this, but I'm okay that it happened because basically he's 32 and he's too old. And the other one is Mergim, might be his name. Rex Heppy, also might be his name. He's moved over to Ghent. I actually had to pay an intermediary to get this deal over the line. I just wasn't going to use him. He was getting paid too much money. We've moved him on. He's found a home now over in Belgium for some reason. So with the transfer window open and £1.4 million now to spend, let's go forward, see whether we can pick up somebody else to hopefully improve our team. We are the top scoring team in the league, but defensively, we're somewhere in the middle. So maybe we need to look at strengthening the defence. Well, a couple of things we did do was sell 2 more players. Philip Hansen has moved over to Helsingborg. We have sold him because basically we have about 9 goalkeepers, gone for £125,000, possibly going up to 150. We've also sold Mikael Haglund. He has gone over to Göteborg, basically another player that, yes, he was getting the odd game time here or there, but a lot of it was coming off the bench. 195,000, possibly going up to $250,000. In no particular order, joining the club then, Juventino Osorio, a 21-year-old Mexican under-23 international signed from not technically Tigres, because he got released, he was out of contract. We have picked him up, obviously, on a free transfer. Now, he's getting paid £7,000 a week, which is way too much money, but the reason why is because all of the big teams in Italy were after him, and a couple of big teams in Spain, I believe, were after him. And I went, no, come to us, play regular football. Osorio, he's arguably not good enough to play regular football, but we might need to do it. Otherwise, he's going to get angry, and then we might lose him for pennies. Our new most expensive signing that we have done, for £240,000, Romeo Sumohoro is an 18-year-old Ivorian right-back technically, but we're going to play him as a centre-back because he's 6'4". He is signed from ASEC Mimosas, and he's a good footballer. I think he's a very good footballer, obviously 18 years of age, plenty of time to develop as well. He's also, did I mention, 6'4", he's bloody massive. We did have to bring in some more players who are actually Swedish. Andreas Oman is one of them at 31 years of age. Yes, he's old. I don't like the fact that I've signed somebody over the age of 30, but we've had to do it sometimes. He has come in after his contract from LA Galaxy expired. He was sat on a free transfer for literally about 5-6 months, and I went, come on, come over. You'll come over for cheap, and he did, and he's good. We did sell somebody to Helsingborg, and we actually took somebody in the opposite direction as well. Janne Zimmerman is that man, a 28-year-old Belgian goalkeeper. He cost literally like £12,000, £12,750. Yes, he's not played, really, for Helsingborg. He has played for us and conceded 7. We'll ignore that for now. He's a good backup, basically. That's why we brought him in. And this could be our new number 1, maybe in a few years' time, not quite ready at the moment. Maximiliano Martinez, 21 years of age, Argentine, under 20 international. He has come to the club for £140,000, which is actually pretty cheap. I did kind of go scouring around some of the South American teams, and I went, he looks pretty good. He was cheap. So I've gone for him, brought him in. It's also one of the reasons why we did kind of had a bit of a goalkeeper reshuffle, because obviously Zimmerman has come in, Martinez has come in, which is why we sold. What was his name? It was Hansen, wasn't it? Hansen. I just wasn't going to play him, basically. Once we brought in Zimmerman and we brought in Martinez, Hansen wasn't really going to get in the squad. So that's the transfers that we've done. We are locking in Osorio for the second part of the season because basically he needs to be a regular starter, and if we don't do that, he doesn't play. So we're going to play him only Osorio. I was tempted to also lock in, if we have a quick look, at Sumahura, but I feel like he might play quite regularly anyway. Also, he is maybe one of our better right backs. I mean, he's probably only playing at the moment because Johansson is suspended and Mahmoud is currently out injured. So maybe Sumahura might not play too much, but it's fine. He's still only 18. So Osorio will be locked in. Competitions-wise, we have dropped down to 6th place, but we are still in a good position. 35 points. One win could put us up into 2nd place. So the fact that we're 6th, it's fine. It looks worse than it actually is. Also, Nunes has now scored 17 goals in 21 starts, so he's kind of starting to slip off. Right then, let's jump forward to the end of our first season in charge of Norrköping, and hopefully we can finish top 6. If we finish where we are, that'll be good because we'll be in Europe for season 2. Well, we have qualified for Europe for season 2. We've actually qualified for the Europa League. 3 teams have qualified for the Champions League. Does this mean Helsingborg might have won another European competition? We will double check that. We have finished 4th, qualified for the Europa League. We've got Bromos Pokana have qualified for the Conference League. Possibly looks like Landskrona might be qualifying for the Europa Conference League as well. However, they might not be because it might depend on who wins the Swedish Cup this season, last season. I'm not quite sure. So, Champions League, Real Madrid were the winners last time around. If we drop down to the Europa League, is it going to do it? It's gone to Europa League, so Real San Sebastian, so they did not win the Europa League. Did they win the Europa Conference League? No. How have we got 3 teams? Do they get to the final or something? Is that a thing? Can they do that? I don't know. I don't understand how we've got 3 teams qualifying for Europe unless... Hold on. Have we gone up in the rankings? We're 6th. We've gone up to 6th. 2 teams directly into the Champions League group stages. One needs to go through 1 qualifying round, which means we are directly into the Europa League. Like, no qualifying rounds, nothing. Straight into the Europa League. That's not what I was expecting for Season 2, but also, that's massive. That is absolutely huge. Checking the coefficients, are we in danger, though, of losing out? The biggest season is going to be this one here, because I think that was when Helsingborg won the Europa Conference League. When that one goes, we need to make sure that we replace it with an equally good season or better season, which is going to be in 2 years' time? Maybe? Is it going to be the first season that we're in charge? Might not be. Might be the next season. Anyway, doesn't matter. Season 1 then, in charge of Norrköping. We've qualified for the Europa League. Helsingborg are champions. Mjällby finished in 9th place in the end. Did they sack their manager? They did sack their manager. They currently have Tobias Larsson, who is formerly of Hammarby and Sweden under-21s. I haven't checked this. I feel like in a Building a Nation save, I should check this more often than I do. Sweden currently 5th in their qualifying group. They've not played any. That's fine. That makes sense. I imagine they've not really done much. They have gone up to 15th a couple of times in the world rankings. Competitions-wise, let's probably not look at that. So World Cup, they get to the round of 16 a lot. We've just had a World Cup, and they got to the round of 16, lost on penalties to Denmark, and a Scandinavian round of 16 tie. Olympics we don't care for. Anything else? European Championships, lost to Turkey in the second round. They got to the semi-final a couple of times, so that's obviously pretty good. And I mean, qualifying for the World Cup's good. That's a good thing. Sweden aren't really doing too much. I will keep an eye on this job. Okay, I will definitely keep an eye on the Sweden job. I said to myself, I didn't actually say this in video, but I said, if this job becomes available, I will not take it before Season 10. It has not become available, or if it has, I've not noticed it come available. So we are going to try and keep an eye on this job to see whether we can take this job. He's only been in charge. He's been in charge for 4 years. He's been in charge for 4 seasons. Maybe we need to keep an eye on this job for certain, because I feel like this might be our way of actually winning something with Sweden. Anyway, that's going to do it then for this season. Let's go forward to Season 2 of Norrköping, and hopefully more of the same. Maybe a title challenge.